Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Faria Bukhari. Today I'm doing this video and I'm addressing all the Muslims of the world who are currently feeling miserable about the current plight of the Palestinian people who are trapped in the rubble and who are facing the war and the aggression and the genocide and the apartheid imposed upon them by Israel and the Western countries. I know that we have in Saudi Arabia, we just had a major event happening today where all the leaders of the Muslim world have gathered to be able to come upon with a consensus on what should be done to be able to mitigate the situation and to end the genocide and to be able to come out of this crisis. The most important thing that I want you to understand is that we have to stop blaming each other. We have to stop telling each other that you are no good and I'm better than you, because none of us is good enough right now. If any one of us was good enough, what is happening in Gaza today won't have been happening. So pointing fingers at each other and saying that, oh, the Saudi regime is not good enough, oh, the Iranian regime is not good enough, oh, the Turkish regime is not good enough, oh, the Muslim leaders are no good. You know what? No one is good enough. If you're saying that one Muslim country is not good enough, and if there are 4 countries in the Arab League who decided not to sign the proposition and the resolution brought upon that asked for diplomatic sanctions and basically removal of the US military bases to create the diplomatic pressure upon the American regime, you have to tell yourself, if they're not doing so, they have a strong reason to say no. And one of the important things that I have to tell you right now, amongst all the Muslim countries all over the world, there are about 55 of them. There are only 3 countries categorically who have a proper strong army. Unfortunately, that's a fact. And we have to learn to live with this fact. There are only 3 countries right now, Muslim countries in the world, who have a proper, strong army. We have Pakistan, we have Turkey, and we have Iran. Entire Gulf terrain of countries, they do not have strong armies. They have money. They are one of the strongest economies of the world. They have oil. They have energy resources. They're making a lot of money out of those energy resources. But they do not have a strong armed force. And they are really vulnerable. All of them. Out of all of them, if I had to give a medal to one of them for outperforming the others despite the limitation of not having a proper army, I would give that to Qatar. Why? Because Qatar has been able to single-handedly beat the international narrative and the Western narrative by using its state-mediated media, Al Jazeera, exposing the war crimes, atrocities, and the Geneva Conventions violations, human rights violations of Israel government for the last many years, and showing the world what is actually happening in the occupied territories. Al Jazeera has come out as a beacon of revolution in the war of information against Israel and the Western countries. And Qatar has a strong role to play in this. And if I had to give a medal amongst the Gulf countries, I would give it to Qatar for outperforming the others. Having said that, I do not want to demonize or demean any of the other countries. I know they are trying their best. level best in whatever way they can to be able to come out of the situation. They don't want Palestine to be occupied. They don't want Israel to remain as an occupation. They don't want Palestinians to be killed continuously. They don't want this genocide to continue. They want a relief to the people of Palestine, and they are doing their best. Having said that, coming back to the response, if you're talking about, okay, we wanna, it's a very important video I'm doing today, and kindly listen to each and every word of it, no matter how long it takes. If we want to generate a response from the Muslim world, and we want to say, oh, we should do an oil embargo, and we should remove the military bases from the Arab countries, there's nothing like it. But you understand that it will take nothing less than a war that happened in Kabul to get these military bases to get out. And the Afghan Talibans, it took them years of armed, violent struggle to be able to kick out the military bases of US and the NATO allies from Kabul, from Afghanistan. So once you resort to that kind of a scenario, you are talking about that your nation should be well versed in guerrilla warfare on the same lines as the Afghanistan Talibans, who had been fighting a war. First they fought a war against the Russians. They were war trained, and they knew what to do. And then once they realized that the Americans are not going away and they're plundering their resources, they decided to wage a war against them and tried to get their military bases out. But it took them an extraordinary amount of guerrilla warfare to be able to achieve those goals. So saying that, yes, today Iraqi president or UAE president, UAE, sorry, not president, but king, and all these kings and all these presidents stand up one day and they say, we want your military base to be kicked out of our country unless you impose an end to the genocide. That's going to require a lot of guerrilla warfare trained warriors on behalf of the government of each country, Gulf country, to be able to fight back. Because US is going to try its best to keep its military bases within these Arab countries. Now, the only thing that I have told everybody that can remove the military bases from the Arab countries and from Egypt and from Turkey and from wherever they are is the power of the people. Yes, the power of an average person who's living there. Once the nation hits these military bases, like a tsunami, which normally happens, something on the same lines as the Iranian Revolution, once that happens, that is the only way you'll be able to get these military bases out. But having said that, now if you write this thing today, you pass a resolution and you say that all the Arab leaders, they decide to confront Biden and say, oh, we're going to remove your military bases today. And we're going to do that today, right now, as we speak these words, unless you stop arming and stop funding Israel. The results are going to be not that conducive because, first of all, it will be next to impossible to achieve this goal. US is not going to leave without using force. And the force will have to come from the people, like I said before. And I've told and I have warned the Biden administration about this very strong possibility, that while they have the assurances from the kings and the presidents of the Muslim countries that their military bases are not going to be touched and they're going to be protected, if the people of various nations, Muslim nations, decide to attack these military bases, these kings and these presidents will not be able to do anything to stop them, because once there are like 1 million people crowding together, mobbing together, angry, upset, attacking the military bases together, then they cannot be stopped. Nobody can stop them. Not even the nukes of Biden can stop them. Because once the people ambush these military bases, there's nobody that can stop them. So you have to, first of all, very important, you have to stop blaming these leaders. If they're saying no, there's a reason behind that. They're trying their best. There's a lot of anger at them, and I think that anger is going to backfire because they want you to be angry. You have to understand that the people who have unleashed this genocide upon the people of Gaza, they want you to be angry at your Muslim leaders. They want you to have that anger, not against them, against Biden administration, against Rishi Sunak, against Olaf Scholz, against Meloni, against Macron, against Trudeau, against Netanyahu. They want you to be angry against each other because they have been feeding off this anger you have for each other for the last many decades. In Yemen, Yemen is a classic example. Yemen has been destroyed, decimated. So the anger you feel for your Muslim brethren is a weapon, is the strongest weapon your enemies have right now. So while you are all there today, I have Ibrahim Raisi, brother Raisi is there, and I have all the sheikhs, the kings there, I have the presidents there. You know, if you can come out, walk away from today's big event and gathering with a joint gesture of unity, that you are not going to blame anybody, that you're not gonna get upset at anybody, that you're not gonna finger point and say, oh, King Abdullah, you did this, oh, Sisi, you did this, oh, Erdogan, you're like this, oh, Ibrahim Raisi, you're like this, oh, Sheikh, you're like this. That has to stop. That has to stop. Because they want you to do this. They want you to scold each other. They want you to blame each other. They want you to pull down each other. They are looking forward to that. They want an Arab Spring within the Arab countries to take down all the monarchs and the presidents in the countries where do not have a monarchy, because that will work for them. Chaos, destabilization always works for them, makes them stronger and makes us weaker. So the one thing that I want all of you to walk away with today as a result of this gathering, this prestigious, auspicious gathering in Saudi Arabia, is kindly stop being angry at each other. Because your anger against your brothers and sisters is only making the genocide of Gaza more and more violent and more permanent. That is not the solution. That is actually going to fuel and weaponize Israel and the Western countries that are backing Israel. That is the point number one that I want to mention. And it took me almost 15 minutes to express this point. And if you and I've spent so much time on it because I think it was an important point. And if you guys can, all of you, my dear brothers who have gathered together, and the sisters as well, the respected sisters, you've gathered together in Saudi Arabia, the land of Mecca and Medina, where billions of us come for pilgrimage to visit the house of our Lord, our Creator, and to visit our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's Rawza Mubarak. So you are in a beautiful place right now. It's a sacred place. Kindly do not pull each other's legs. Kindly do not push back each other. We're all trying. Gulf countries, they do not have a proper army. They are vulnerable. They do not have a strong enough army to protect them if Western countries decide to attack them as a consequence of them trying to put an oil embargo or to drop the petrodollars or to even try to do anything that's gonna decelerate the current ongoing genocide. You need a strong armed force, and Gulf countries do not have that, unfortunately. Now, who has that armed force? Strong armed force, who has that? Again, 3 countries only. Amongst all the countries that have gathered together, the only 3 countries who have that armed force. It's trained, well-trained, it's organized, it's weaponized, and it can compete with lethal weapons that are coming from not just Israel, but US and NATO as well. And those 3 countries are Turkey, Pakistan, and Iran. Now, US is already in a proxy war against Iran in many parts of the Middle East. We're seeing that in Syria, we're seeing that in many parts, even in Iraq, we're seeing that. So Yemen is a classic example. So I really don't know if asking Iran, that has been fighting this war for decades, for Al-Quds, for Gaza, for Palestinians, pushing it even further to fight it again and again and again on its own, and getting drained out, getting sanctioned, getting isolated. You know what I mean? So it is like you're asking Iran to do your work, to do your homework. Why? Why is it just the Iran's job to protect Al-Quds? It is the responsibility of every Muslim all over the world to try to protect Al-Quds. So saying that Iran has the power, Iran has been chanting slogans, and Iran has been claiming to defy the New World Order openly, publicly, and is getting dinged for it for years now from US and the NATO allies, and then expecting Iran to take the entire war on its shoulders on its own. I don't think that's a smart move. And first of all, you have to give Iran equal importance, like you give each other. There has been a decade history of hostility and alienation, and unfortunately a lot of division and drifting from Iran by many of our sister and brother countries all over the world. And that has to stop. Coming back to the first point I mentioned already, that it has to be stopped. You have to include Iran. Once you start including Iran and make it part of your brotherhood, you're going to have results. But if you're not going to do that, and if you're going to just say, okay, you can be there because you're a Muslim country, but we are not going to include you into everything we are doing, and we are doing this, but you can give your opinion, but at the end of the day, we are not so sure if you're going to listen to it and if you even care about it. So that kind of stuff, that kind of an attitude has to stop. You have to include Iran. If you expect, I mean, at one point you expect Iran to take the entire burden of the entire response to this so-called crusade that has been unleashed upon the Middle East, and at the same time you will keep Iran at an arm's length and say, okay, we need to distance ourselves from you because you're different. So that should stop. You have to start to trust Iran, okay? I know they're loud and they are like, they keep on talking about Shia, sect and everything. And I mean, that's okay. You need to learn to live with it, okay? There are many of us who have different thought processes and different ways of worshiping. But you have to learn to coexist and accept each other as they are. So that is important. So give Iran equal importance. Treat Iran as an equally important brother, and you will start seeing results. So because unless there is this trust factor between most of the Muslim world and the Iranians, we are not going to go any further in our fight against Israeli apartheid. So that has to be taken care of. Iran has to be included. And then the other thing that I'm coming to is Turkey, a very important part of the entire game that is being played, in the sense that Turkey has been trying to first mediate peace. Turkey is part of the NATO countries and is a designated ally of US right now, and is trying to be a peacemaker. But again, we know that Israel is not going to listen to any demands for peace from anybody, as we have seen in the last 30 days, 35 days now. The only thing that can stop the Gaza genocide right now is a force that is bigger and stronger than the one that Israel is using right now against the people of Palestine. And I don't think you have to be like an Oxford graduate to understand that, or you need to learn rocket science to understand that. If you spoke to an average Palestinian sitting in Gaza right now, who is suffering for the last 35 days, trying to survive the non-stop air strikes of Israel, if you asked him today, straightforwardly, what do you think is the solution? How can we save Gaza from Israel? Do you think mediation talks, peaceful dialogues, going to ICC, going to humanitarian agencies is going to help any further? He's going to tell you the answer that I'm telling you. The Palestinians know what the answer is. The answer is force. If Palestine is a sovereign country, Palestine needs a sovereign army of its own. An army that is strong enough to fight back against Israel and its ongoing occupation. And that army that it does not have right now has to be provided by all of us, including Pakistan, including Turkey, including Iran. I think Iran has been trying to provide it alone by itself and getting isolated and getting shushed by everybody else. But that's like now it's like situation is not just okay, it's a proxy attack here and there. Israel is calling out for war. This is like they want a war, and I spoke about this already too, that unless you give them a war response, they are not going to stop. And the response can only be given by the armies of three countries: Iran, Pakistan, and Turkey. But while Turkey and Pakistan have their problems, they're all struggling. Pakistan is a struggling economy, as we all know. It has been going through severe engineered political destabilization for the last many years. And finally, we have a relative peace, but still we are facing a lot of terrorism and proxy war imposed upon us by India. And then they're trying to have Pakistan and Afghanistan go to war against each other, that we have been trying to avoid for all these years. So in spite of all of these, Pakistan is willing to try to stop Israel, provided Pakistan has support from all of you, unconditional support. Now, Pakistan has bad economy. Pakistan has an energy crisis. You have energy. So here's the thing. You have to create a teamwork. A teamwork where I know the Gulf countries do not have an army, a proper army, so they cannot foster a strong armed response to what's going on in Gaza. But these three countries, Iran, Turkey, and Pakistan, have that armed force that can respond in a trained way to the ongoing genocide in Gaza by Israel. But they need support. They need logistic support. They need monetary support. They need support in the form of oil. They need support in the form of whatever you can provide. Even support in the form of HR, in terms of if you want to provide your soldiers, if you want to provide energy reserves, if you want to provide, liquid cash, whatever is needed, that has to be decided today. You have to show the world that now the entire Muslim nations summit is going to come up with a tangible response that is going to help end this genocide and help retaliate against Israeli aggression. So in order to do that, you need to have some points written down. You need to have a very important general unanimous consensus sent out to the rest of the world as a message that yes, we are regrouping, yes, we are reorganizing, yes, we do understand we have shortcomings, yes, we do understand that we are vulnerable. But having said that, in spite of our shortcomings, we are not going to take this anymore. We are going to use force, a force bigger than the one being provided to Israel. And we're going to use this force to end this genocide, or at least push Israel back into deterrence and save the lives of the Palestinian civilians. So you have to come up with this consensus today out of the summit that is being conducted in Saudi Arabia. And individually, we do not have what it takes to be able to have success. But together, united, we can do it. We can push Israel into deterrence. I know there are warships of US right now on the coast of Gaza and Israel. I know US is flooding Israel with weapons. But trust me, when I say that Pakistan, Turkey, Iran have the intelligence, have the armed forces strong enough to stop Israel from advancing any further, I know what I'm saying. But they cannot do it alone. They need your support. And I know the Gulf countries do not have their armies, and I understand that their reasons for not coming out openly, publicly, against US, against NATO, countries. But we do know that in your heart, you do feel for the people of Palestine, and you do want this entire bloodshed to end. We do understand that you're losing your sleep over this, and you do want to do whatever you can to end this. So if there are like 50 countries, every country has something that country can give to help respond to Israel's aggression in this war, in this crusade. Every country. Now we are seeing that there are non-Muslim countries who are willing to wage a war against Israel because they're so upset with how Israel is acting against the people of Gaza. So as Muslims, we have a bigger duty. And I know that not every country can pick up arms and run to Gaza for one reason or another. But some countries can. Yes, there are some of us. The only 3 of us. Maybe there is a 4th one that I don't know about. And maybe Indonesia is a big one. Indonesia is right now an ally of US in the South China Sea, in US war against China. And I'm sure that the entire Gaza genocide that's been precipitated by Biden is going to change that. That is why Blinken has been on the plane for the last 30 days trying to secure the diplomatic relationships of US with not just the Arab countries, but also with the key allies in the South China Sea, in a bid to ensure that these diplomatic relations are not severed. US is even bent upon making a truce for the first time with China, and Xi and Biden are apparently meeting next week in California because US feels that if this war evolves into a global catastrophe, US does not want China to be an adversary in that war. While Iran has the power to drag, or not even drag, pull in Russia. Russia has already done so much for the Muslims and for the people in Gaza. Iran has the power to pull in Russia into Palestine. And Russia can pull in China, but we also have India, that is a strategic partner of Israel, and also at the same time strategic partner of Russia. So it's kind of a complicated situation. So it's very important that you know what you want to do today. You just want to condemn. You've been doing that for the last 35 days, and that's not working. You just want to go to ICC. It's going to take forever. And ICC, as always, is compromised. You have already tried United Nations Security Council. You've even tried processing a successful resolution of ceasefire in United Nations General Assembly. It did not work. It did not stop Israel. Like I said before, you ask an average Palestinian citizen sitting in Gaza who has been trying to survive against all odds for the last 35 days, how can we save Gaza today? He will tell you what I am telling you. Even he knows that. He's not a general. He's not a strategist. He's not a military expert. But even he knows that you need a force bigger and stronger and more powerful than what is being fed to Israel to be able to deter Israel and push it back, to leave Gaza alone. And that force is going to come from Turkey, from Pakistan, from Iran, provided when they look back on their shoulders, they are not left alone, like Iran has been. Iran has been left alone. Iran looks back on his shoulders and there's nobody behind. And that's probably the reason why Iran is not coming out so openly, oh, I'm going to do this, and doing more than what it can do, because it knows that if it looks back on its shoulder, It may not have anybody on its back. So all these three countries are willing to go into this, okay? Turkey, I know Erdogan. He wants to do this. But all three countries, they have armed forces. They have sophisticated weapons. They have trained warriors. They have trained soldiers. They are one of the best intelligence agencies of the world and best armies of the world. They can do it. But they don't want to feel that once they get into it and they look back, there's nobody on their back. That you have your reservations. I know you have your reservations. And we understand them. I mean, we all have our weaknesses. We all have our vulnerabilities. We are not perfect. We try to be good Muslims, but Allah knows. Allah is the best judge. I'm not going to say you're a bad Muslim because you did not pick up weapons and did not go to jihad with weapons. Allah knows what you can do and what is in your capacity. But if you have garnered the courage to unite all the Muslims today in one of the most sacred places of the world, Saudi Arabia, for all the Muslims, then that's a big achievement. I think that's a big achievement, and we should appreciate you for that, and we should stop pulling each other's legs and arms and whatever we can. We have to stop that, and we have to get rid of that itchy grudge in our hearts that tells us, oh, why is he like that? You know, that jealousy, that envy, that's negativity against our brothers and sisters. We have to get rid of it. We can't afford it anymore. Look at Yemen. Yemen is done. Yemen was a bustling, beautiful, prosperous, strong country. Look what you guys did to it. Don't do it anymore. You know, we are losing time every second. They're going to come for each and every one of us. Look at what happened to Iraq. 2003, Iraq, 1 million Iraqi civilians killed. 2023, within 35 days, they have killed 11,000 civilians. They're killing one child every 10 minutes or 5 minutes. As the time is going on, as they're getting more empowered and more rejuvenated and more strengthened because of our inaction, and our forceful inaction, the seconds for which every child is being slaughtered, martyred, they are kind of shrinking. So I am just telling you what I was told by a Palestinian guy a long time ago. I met in US. I asked him, I went to this Palestinian music festival in Arizona, and I met this guy. We were sitting on the same table and we were enjoying the Palestinian freedom songs and the music and the dancing, and I asked him what should be the solution to the Palestine conflict, and he said there is one solution, and that solution is guns. He was an average Palestinian guy sitting on the same table as I was. I was at a music festival, and I just asked him, by the way, and he said, guns. They have been through this war for like 7+ decades. UNGA ceasefire resolution rejected by Israel because Israel is backed by Biden. Biden is not listening to American people, American Jews, American Christians, American atheists, American Buddhists. They're all flooding the streets of US. Canada is getting flooded. UK is getting flooded. Europe is getting flooded. France is getting flooded, in spite of the fact that Macron has forbidden such protests. Most of the Ivy League universities are banning these protests. I mean, there's a draconian crackdown on the freedom of speech in the so-called free world. But having said that, have you been able to deter Israel with all these floodings? No, you have not been able to. Because you know what? That one Palestinian man I met at that music festival, knew more than the leading experts right now, because he has gone through what we have not gone through collectively. He's gone through 75 plus years of having to tolerate an apartheid imposed upon him and his family. So he knows what's going to take care of it. So please listen to him. Listen to the Palestinian people. Your ICC, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your resources. Jihad is forbidden only for those who like to terrorize our children like they did in Iraq. They want us to consider jihad terrorism because they want to commit terrorism against our families. Do you understand this? In Iraq, they forbid jihad because they wanted to kill 1 million Iraqi civilians. Today, they are forbidding jihad of Hamas because they want to continue to kill till the last Palestinian child breathes. So Hamas is not a terrorist. Those terrorizing Palestine for the last 75 years are the real terrorists. And you do not reason with terrorists. You do not find logic and rational with terrorists because you won't get that. The entire US Congress is like an evil cult that is licking the boots of Israel and converting US into a greater Israel kingdom. The entire West, Canada, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, UK, European Union, they're all part of a greater Israel kingdom. It's a communist state. It's a communist kingdom where the king is always right and the people are always wrong. So no matter how much flooding there is, they are not going to listen to their people because it is not a democracy. So stop believing that without picking weapons, you're going to be able to deter Israel. You will not be able to deter Israel. You have not been able to. They have killed the two-state solution with their continuous aggression for the last 2 decades against the people of Palestine. We cannot hang on to a unilateral hope that a two-state solution is possible when the people of Israel continue to elect the radical ISIS-minded leaders to their parliament who want to vanquish all of Palestine and conquer it and do it at the cost of every Palestinian child. Stop hanging and clinging to that hope because it's not there. They are treating Palestinian people like animals. Even their animals have more rights than the Palestinian people have. So please stop trying to give yourselves false hopes that do not exist, like you have been giving for the last 7+ decades. I think today you should come out with a tangible plan that's going to help in deterrence and not aggravate the situation. Please do not come out as disunited, as disorganized, as irrelevant. Please come out as united, strong, powerful, with a tangible plan, with a teamwork, where every country of the world that believes in Islam, in Allah, in Allah's book Quran, in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the last prophet. Every country contributes whatever it can towards a united stance against Israel and Israel's investors and backers. Come out with a plan. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Allah Hafiz.